Hey guys, it's Brandon Miniman from Pocketnow.com, and this is part 2 of the video review of the Amazon Kindle. Now I'm going to pick it up here and you'll notice something. You see that? The screen has a bit of a glare. And that's unfortunate because oftentimes when you're reading with the Kindle, you're going to have an overhead light source or be next to a lamp, and having a glare can be bothersome if you catch it in the right angle. It's not as glary as, say, an iPhone, but it's still, it's still an annoyance. Anyway, so let's turn it on. The Kindle has a 6-inch screen. The resolution is 800 by 600. The screen technology is called an electrophoretic display. For the rest of us, we call it e-ink because it's made to look like ink on a page, just like a real book. And it does a pretty good job. I'll give you a good example of that in a second. To select things with the Kindle, you use this selection wheel on the bottom right here. You kind of drag your finger along it, and this interesting looking chrome, I don't even know what to call it. Let's call it a chrome strip, moves up and down, and when you find what you want, I'm going to go to the tipping point up at the top. You just press it inward and it selects it. And here we are in the beginning of the tipping point. And over here I have the actual book. So we can kind of get an idea of how the contrast compares from the Kindle to an actual book. I'm going to get real close here. The contrast is much greater on the Kindle than it is on a computer screen, but it still could be improved. I mean, this is a first-generation product. The background could be whiter, the text could be blacker. Maybe the next generation product will have even greater contrast. I'm sure it will, and thereafter, eventually we'll have this device that can literally replicate the look of paper. But until then, it does a good job. To change the page, as you know, you press this next page button. The screen flashes every time as it has to redraw itself. Now, something I find a little bit annoying is that there's a lot of wasted space on the left here and on the top. I feel like they could push the text into that area because as it is, there's a limited amount of text that can fit on one screen at a time. Let me show you the kind of layout of every page. You've got the name of the book in the top here, and it tells you if it's a sample, the author, and there's a little flap there that denotes whether you have it bookmarked, and I have this page bookmarked. Down here we have a location tracker. This is how you know if you're halfway through the book or almost done. Down here we have a wireless meter, but it says off because I have it turned off to save battery life. To the left of that is a battery meter, and to the right of that is menu. Now there's a lot the Kindle does that a standard book can't do. For example, you can change the text size, and I do that by pressing this text chooser button down here, and then I get a pop-up, and then I use this selector to say I want to go to number 3, and let's see what that does. The screen refreshes and it's much bigger. Okay, good. Something else you can do with the Kindle that you can't do with a standard book is look up a word on the fly. Well, I mean, if you have a book, you got to get the dictionary, find the letter P for a certain word, and look down the page, there's PR, P, and it takes a long time. At least it takes me a long time. On this, let's find a word that we want to look up. How about inflatable? There's inflatable. I know what that means, but perhaps someone out there doesn't. So I'm going to click on inflatable. I'm going to actually click on the line, and what it does is it brings up a context menu. I'm going to choose look up, and it will show me the definitions of the words on that line, and it takes a moment, but here we get put 25 foot, and it's page 1 of 2, so I can go to the next page, and on the next page will be inflatable. There it is. And if you want more details about the word inflatable, you can select the word, and it takes you into a screen that shows you pronunciation, and sometimes it shows you the origin of the word as well, which is really helpful. And when you're done with that, you click on the back button. So reading with the Kindle is an enjoyable experience. I like to keep the text size on the smallest so I can see the most amount of text on the screen at one time. The time that it takes to turn the page is about 1.5 seconds, and if you kind of compare that to a book, if you're reading along, it's about 1.5 seconds too. So it's comparable in that sense. I really like the reading experience. It's comfortable on the eyes. My eyes don't get tired. I can get into the book, into the author's world, as I can with a paper book. So just because it's an electronic device doesn't mean that, it feels like I'm reading off of a computer, because it doesn't. That's it.